We went to bed. It was like after 3.
It
I was
was
like,
after
oh.
3. I don't know how to go to bed after 3. I woke up at 10 today. I don't know how to wake up at 10. I'm so discombobulated. All right, y'all. What's up, everybody? This is the Classic Quest podcast, the show where we break down albums such as Ultramagnetic MCs, Critical Beatdown. Oh, yeah, I spelled it right on the stream. Go me. Anyway, we be talking about every song on this project, track by track. My name's Holden Stephan Roy.
My name's Chris Chrome.
And I am your lady fan Bonnie.
And yeah, today we'll be talking about the Ultramagnetic MCs Critical Beatdown project. We like to start off this like these album reviews explaining our familiarity with the project so that you fine person who's a big fan of Ultramagnetic MCs know why we coming through and talking about this. So on that note, why don't your lady friend Bonnie, you break down your familiarity with the artist and why we chose to talk about it?
Well, I chose this album this week, mostly just because I just looked up like cool hip hop albums, and this one was on it, and I was like, I've never heard of this, and why haven't we done this one yet? So that's why I chose it. And yeah, no, I don't think I really know them. I mean, I think like I mean, I've heard of Kool Keith. I know who he is and all that, but that's about it. And he's one of the members, and they're from the Bronx, and yeah.
And you, Christopher?
I didn't know shit from shit. You said, this is the project. And I went, this is the project. I read the name and I went, oh, this is an old school project. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know anything until I did the first like run through. And then the only name that stuck out to me was Kool Keith, just by name, not by like actual knowing and like his music and stuff. But I know the name. And yeah, that's it.
Facts. That's it. I was like, Bonnie, you have to talk about Benny the Butcher. And she was all like, oh, say word. You have to talk about Ultramagnetic MCs. And I'm like, we all have to play fair in life. I say that because, like, going into this.
I actually wasn't on the Benny the Butcher one.
Okay,
so.
But, like, other people. You did Conway. So it was the same, similar thing. I say that because, like, I have a lot of trouble with the 80s albums as a reviewer. Like, I have a lot of trouble finding cool stuff to say about every single song. So I was like, oh, boy, we going in for a ride, going back to the 80s. Like, we've done some 80s stuff. I'll listen to it. The overall sound is not my favorite coming into it. But, like, with that, I like to put on my history lesson lens then because ultimately – everybody we listen to today kind of stems from people like the Ultramagnetic MCs in that era where, like, when you just consider how music was made in 88 and, like, the whole culture, the place it was at, it was the weird outcast thing, right? Like, it isn't the cool in hip thing, and just the way they're innovating and creating this brand new shit. Like, it's so cool. From that point of view, I'm super excited to talk about it. But from, like, a fan perspective, oh boy, is the 80s a big, like, it's a challenge for me to honestly, like, get as excited as the people who grew up on this did. The people who think this is, like, because I have, like, friends who are like, bro, this is it. This is the pinnacle of all great hip-hop and shit. And I'm like, I kind of get where you're coming from, but I'm not sure I fully agree with that idea. And I'm not trying to, like, be inflammatory on the review. It's just coming into it. These are all the things that went through my head just by looking at the year of that release. Like, it isn't just such a black and white thing, you know? But
I don't know. I saw them and I was like, this looks like a bunch of cool guys.
Yep.
Let's do it.
I hear you.
Nice pals.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm actually kind of, like, excited to do it. It's just, like, the 80s in general has not been my favorite era of music in any capacity, like of any genre of music, regardless of whether or not it is in fact hip hop. I digress. Bonnie's like, shut up. Let's move on.
Yep. You don't like it? Cool.
Fair enough. That's not that I don't. Anyway, why am I going to go on?
Okay, we're good. Yeah. Let's move it along. So this came out on October 4th, 1988. This is a Critical Beatdown. So on the cover we have just like, you know, the 4 guys in like 80s style outfits, like hip hop track suits and sweaters and stuff, and they're looking like tough and flashy because they had got a little bit of bling on, and they're like in front of like a building with like barred up windows. So, it's, could be taken in front of like their apartment building or something. But obviously, like what they're showing is that like they're like these like cool out there guys, but they're living in like a dangerous area, which was in like the 80s. So, and I like the title because, Critical Beatdown, because they're going to like beat you up and, it's clear that you deserve it. So, yeah, I like the title. It's fitting with the cover, and that's it.
Um, the title, dude, I'm so, this is gonna be a hard review. I like the title, I like the album cover, I like everything. It really just kind of sets me back to that era with just the way they look, the whole like kind of group photo. Honestly, I would take a photo like this with like the homies and shit, and that's kind of how just I felt. It was like, we're just cool, we're here, we're not really trying to be like super flashy like what we would see today with like the cars and the chains and all this shit, but also still kind of like, we got swag, we got style, we got flair, and we're just gonna tear it up. And we're, as you guys said, critically beat you down with the bars and all the shit. But it also did kind of like let me know what type of vibe we're gonna get and what era we're in. And I'm like, I don't know how ready I am for this. Also, Ultramagnetic MCs. Like that's not a 2022 name. That's not like
hold on, Chris. Like, it's like they so charismatic, right? They magnetic. Yeah, right. They're a group.
They're gonna draw you in like a magnet.
I get that. But I was just,
also,
like,
Chris,
moment, I was like,
they leveling a critical beatdown on you. The rhymes that you are gonna hear on this album are going to be so pristine that you shall be left beaten the fuck down through their magnetism.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just like, that's just not a name that I would ever see in anything nowadays.
It's because they did it, bro. They did it.
Like, holy shit.
And they're done that. Shit.
That's
the 80s
too. It's hype. I think it does suit the project well.
I feel like Vince would be a part of Ultramagnetic MCs or something. Like I feel like, like it's very he would be like he would be right there and be like, like looking cool and stuff. So just saying, it could still be today. Polo. Yeah.
I mean, they look fly. They have cool fashion. I feel like they adjusted all of the angling so they all kind of look like they're about the same height, although they are probably not all about the same height. That was the thing that popped off the most to me. I like the slant.
That's true.
I love the use of colors on graphical fonts in that era. Like, it's really an impressive cover considering when it was made. Like, we use Photoshop now, but that's a pretty cool, like, and all things considered,
just a picture.
But like, it doesn't age bad. Like, some of these old ass covers age bad, but that's actually kind of like a pretty clean cover. Like, it's pretty nice looking, and then you get just to see the squad. The title's aight. It's very reminiscent of the era. I would make fun of somebody for calling their shit that now if they were in my posse kind of thing, but like in the time and the era, it's actually like a really astute and good thing for what's going on. But yeah, looking at it from a 2022 lens, it's like you got to remember this is 1988 and not be like critical in that regard. And that's something I had to do like a lot. I'm not even going to lie. On that note, let's get into it with, all right, Bonnie, start us off. Let's get it.
Well, right away, I mean, I definitely agree with Gremlin. Like, the scratching, so good. Like, so great. I definitely love the James Brown sample, like super fun, like, and that's like super 80s too. Like I feel like there was a lot of James Brown sampling. Like, really good lyrics. I really like the rhyme scheme. Like, they're kind of funny. Like, when he's like, you like, where's your Kangol? You've got like a triangle, like pointed head. Like, it's just funny. And they're just showing off their skills. Kool Keith kind of sounds like he's in a different recording booth than the others. Like when his verse came on, it sounded different. So I do feel like the production levels weren't quite what they could have been. But like I did kind of catch that, and but it's still good. Like I could definitely like see like people like break dancing to this. So it's very like that vibe, good energy, good, like they're here to like have fun and spit and like show off and whatever. It's just like very fun, very 80s. It's good. And the only thing that I felt like was a little bit like too much was that I did feel it was a little bit long because it is like almost 5 minutes a song. But other than that, it was great. I give it a 4.75 on 5.
Nice. I like the call to action.
Nice
I
face,
like
Holden.
that like command of like just saying like watch me now. Look at what we're about to do. Look at what we're going to show you. And it kind of like I feel captivates the audience, captivates the crowd, being that like authoritative, you know, listen to what we got to say. I like just the intro of Kool Keith's first verse. Well, I'm the ultimate, the rhyme imperial. I'm better, but some don't believe me though. That was cool how he kind of swung that out. And that's like pretty much a lot of like the flow throughout this track. I like the boppiness in it. I kind of forgot that like back in the 80s, there's a lot of bop in the lyrics more than a lot of the new music I listen to now. Like there is vibes with the new music, but I'm more bopping to the actual lyrics and the punches in this type. So like that was cool to me. I thought it was dope. It really kind of showcases what they're about. Clearly, they are really great rappers and how they flow on and off beat. I did like how one of them addressed the fact that they flow off beat and still kind of control it. I like when artists do that and they can acknowledge when they're kind of being weird with the flows, and it's like just cool to me. But like this is just not like my preference, and that's gonna be probably my motto the entire review. So I left this with a 4 on 5.
This is stellar production, like super stellar actually. So in a lot of ways, when I think people big up this era, I don't know if they're talking about the rapping as much as they might be talking about the overall sound and production. And when they are talking about the rapping, it may be what you're describing, where there's a lot more of like within your singular key of music, emphasizing and maxing that out. Like if you were a guitarist that had one scale to play with almost, and you learned that shit so good, you were doing every trick you could pull off on that. So in that regard, yeah, you're hearing their voices are all over with the tonality flipping and the energy. But I was just caught off by like this whole track is, y'all don't think I can rap good? Well, fuck you, I do rap good. And you don't rap good.
Yeah.
And that's the whole song. So for me, it's like there's not a lot for me to sink into in these bars. Like as much as the 80s is dope, this was like the seminal shit. It just got better from here to me. However, I'm trying to picture like what it would be like to be there in 88 when this drops, right? And arguably there isn't like a bunch of shit that sounds like this. And when you're listening to the way that they're rapping and how frequently they are changing their flows, like this isn't like hugga 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 boo, hugga hugga boo. Like it isn't trying to be like more song driven with like proper structure, so to speak. It's more like, bro, you don't think I can rap? Well, let me show you what the fuck rap can be, but without the oversaturation. This had to have been the illest shit in the world to listen to back then. Like, if you're really into that, like, shit, you know, like, it's really well done. And I'm certain that none of these rhymes sounded like I'd heard them a gajillion times before when they dropped, right? I have heard all this shit a gajillion times before now. So it's super hard for me to get into the bars per se. But I really love the way this sounds. And I love the idea of like throwing this on at a party, actually. Even now, as much as I wouldn't necessarily want to bump this in my headphones, it's like, even at the show we were at last night, if this had come on in between songs, it would have been kind of cool. It would have been like a good vibe to get people dancing and shit. And from a dance-driven song with like basically straight rapping on it, that's really impressive. I don't know that I enjoyed it that much. All things considered, I find Kool Keith sounds like a less gangster Eazy-E, which is an interesting thing. And I really enjoyed Ced-Gee's voice to contrast him. I thought the two of them bounced off it really well. But like, yeah, it's like a 4.35. I really think it's well made, and I'm being as objective as I can. But it's really, like Chris said, not my cup of tea. However, in that one context of being out at a party, though, like, this would be lit. Because I don't really care what they're rapping about. So in that case, it's good music because I'm going to be able to just vibe and dance.
Makes people move, makes people dance, puts them in a good mood.
And they do
That's
sound
also
like
the era,
instruments
no?
on top of it. So on that note, I have to give them props. Like, I don't care what they're rapping about, but I fucking like the way they sound rapping it on top of the beat. Like, it really does
Mm-hmm.
sound like they're almost part of the beat. And on that, I give it a lot of credit. It's really cool to listen to. Anyway, let's move into Ease Back. Hey, Bonnie, take it away, yo.
He's back. So yeah, I mean, I also kind of hold on. So I feel like I'm just getting all into it. So I think Ease Back is like, like kind of like, like chill the fuck out, like we're gonna like bring it. But also I feel like it's kind of like a play like he's back, like maybe like they're back, like, this is like not their first album. So like I think that it's kind of just like they're ready to go, they do this again. And like the beat, there's something in the beat that reminded me of something, like, and I couldn't like pinpoint what it was, but I felt like I had heard the sample before. For me, this one, I felt like Kool Keith kind of sounded like raw bass, or the other way around, I don't know. But like I just kind of took that kind of away. I like Ced-Gee's verse. I thought it was like very funny in like a quirky way, like the way that he like just comes in like hello, like like I love him. He's just so like quirky and weird, and it's just like good energy, like great beat. It's another for me, like how Chris was like, I'm not gonna like all this, it's gonna be the theme of the album. So for me, the theme of the album is it's another fun one. I think they're all very fun. And I guess you also have to think about like life in like the 80s in like South Bronx, and like how it probably wasn't very fun a lot of the time. So I think this is like a nice escape like from like all of that. So I think
Interesting.
it's like just good, fun, happy kind of friendly battling. I think it's just fun. So I give this one a 4.35 on 5.
Nice. Like you said, I kind of took it the same way. I thought it was like, telling people to ease back. Probably some of like the whack rappers, the biters that are trying to like copy their flow. Like, you can't really step with us. You can't really actually match us. So ease on back, relax. The play on the word with he's back, I thought that was also kind of what they were doing too. Just and like how they're like, what up? It's me again. Like, oh, he's back. He's here to like, he's here the thing, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I felt like this, like their flow here was a little bit tighter than the one previous. Like it felt more like just tighter. Like, I don't know, didn't seem so spacey, didn't seem like they were just kind of like the other one felt like they were having more fun with it and just really showcasing what they can do. This one felt more like we're still going to showcase and have fun, but we got something to say about like this, right? So I thought that was also pretty dope. The production on this is cool. The fucking beat change was just really dope. High energy, got me moving and stuff like that. Yeah, like it's just dope. Like that's really it. I left that with another 4.
Nice.
I like whatever they sampled as the main sample in the first part of the song a lot. I don't remember what song it is, but that shit's ill, and whenever I hear it, it makes me happy. I vibe with this one more than the last one. It still feels like it could be at a party, but it has like a completely different tone to it. And I think you're right. Like, it is fun music, and I'm not as drawn to fun music, which is why I don't get as excited. But when you like look, I find music's often like a reflection of the times, right? So when people be struggling, music gets more party oriented, and when people be thriving, like in the 90s, people get more miserable. And I know that the hood might not have been thriving in the 90s, but arguably the Bill Clinton era was pretty economically prosperous prior to the 2001 bubble burst of the dot-com shit. So like you can just kind of see this like back and forth as the eras shift up and whatnot. But like I also think the rhyming is cool here. Again, I'm not really going to talk about the bars, except that I like what Gremlin in the chat said, and a bunch of rappers I would fuck with later on ended up definitely studying the fuck out of this tape, and they bit a lot of these bars, which is funny because they said biters around and shit. Again, it's not even their fault. It's just that, like, half the people I know who rap are still trying to rap like this, and it's basically kind of not that cool because it's oversaturated how many people are trying to be like these guys today, which is weird to me. But at the same time, when I do listen to the way they enunciate every rhyme And they do that. Something I've been trying to really focus on when I rap lately is how to add the melody to my rhymes, as in they're doing note changes and little arpeggio moves when they're doing like 2 3 like syllables and shit, and it's like you can really hear the mastery of their voices and the instrument that they use it with. Like, it really impresses me. And the pauses and the way that they're coming back and forth. And again, I try to picture myself back in the 80s when there's not that much of this out yet, you know? Like, it's still like this fresh fucking sound. So later on, this is clearly something like how Organized Confusion went on to like fucking influence so many people. This has like that kind of feel to me. Like, oh, say word, a lot of people I like listen to this. And I really admire that about it. I don't know if this would be the song I would throw on. I'd probably go to the people that got inspired by it. But like, again, the history lesson in this, the like wowness of what they brought to the table when they brought it to the table, the crisp sound that like honestly sounds great in headphones today. Like, you can hear the level of effort that went into every fucking line of this production to make sure it came off like perfect in a way where I don't think most of us put that level of attention into recording today. And on that front, it's like you can feel like the farther back in time, it's like the more perfect you had to be. And I think that's what technology may have done, because people aren't this perfect on the recording. It's usually less perfect and enhanced by an engineer. So it's stuff like that that's really interesting to me while still sounding kind of super 80s. But I like this one more. 4.5. It's really impressive. That's all I gotta say about this one. I don't know if there are music videos to any of them. I forgot to check. So if there are,
I didn't check.
let me know. And in the meantime, let's move on to Ego Tripping. I gotta say, like, even that whisper things, I don't know how many people are that. I'm sure it's not a new trope, but in like hip hop, a lot of people did that kind of shit later on. This is super, like, it feels seminal. Seminal feels like a good word for what this feels like. Not saying they're the first, but they clearly involved in that lane of turning hip hop into what the 90s would become. And arguably, it should be reviewed on a show called The Classic Quest. How do you feel about this one, Bonnie?
This one just sounds like, I think based off of like the beginning of the song, it sounds like it was designed to be performed live, which is like an interesting thing. It's like that they make like songs that for the album, but like to be performed live, or at least it's give us off like that, like energy.
On like a quick tangent, I read this music history book, and that's pretty much how music used to be, right? Like almost all music was like designed for the acoustically for whatever environment it would be performed live in. So hip hop was like low clubs and like this certain sounds, so a lot of it was designed to sound good in those environments, which is why a lot of this shit doesn't sound so good stadium, as an example. Or so that's actually like an astute observation.
Yeah, and like I can like see it, like I think there's something about like the way that like they introduce it that you can like visually like see it, like when you're listening to it, that they're on stage and that you're in the audience, and like I don't know, it's like a fun like vibe that they like put you in, and like it, like I don't know, there's something about like the first verse gives me like Beastie Boy vibes. I think it's like how they're like singing, or like the way that they're rapping or whatever. Like it's just like that kind. That's what I got. Like I like this one. I really, I found like the whispers like of the Ultramagnetic. Like I thought that was fun and nice. I like that there's more like James Brown samples. I feel like there's a lot of them in this album, so I think that's cool. And it's just like them like hyping themselves up and showing off with like dope rhymes again. Like they're just like here to just like show themselves off and be like a showcase. So I thought it was another fun one. So I gave it 4.25 on 5.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on. The live show aspect is something that did stand out, and I don't want to sound like I'm repeating things, but it's cool to hear that like. So, you know how I like listen to music and then I'm like, oh, it's this whole thing. And then I was like walking through the forest and I see this shit and blah, 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 blah. It's like, I can't see anything else besides the live show on these songs. And it's actually really cool to bring me into that era. And it's for what I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I can kind of tell now when it's like, this is produced in a booth. This is strictly for like production music, put it out there, the single, and I'm not going to perform this. and then you can be like, every song on this project can be performed in live, and it sounds exactly the same way that it would be in the song. And I thought that that was super cool, because like when we talk about bringing you to a different atmosphere and bringing you into that environment, it took me a minute to kind of click into it, and then I was like, oh shit, like I never really left the party last night. Essentially, like I'm still out there, I'm still in the streets, I'm still fucking having a great time. So
Yeah.
that's really kind of what I got from this. I mean, the bars are solid, the flows are solid. I do like the chorus, the Ultramagnetic MCs. Like that was funky, that was cool. That little voice pitch was really dope. That like got into my head. This is actually my first 4.1 on 5.
Ooh, we got a point one
Stepping it
up. This is all about the vibe. That's why I kept saying party every time. Like literally, party people's are the place to be. Like, is the first, like, that's the thing you say when you're like trying to sound old school. Except this was like the new, you know, back when it came out.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of music is really designed for environments, right? Like, most of my music consumption used to be headphones on the bus in transit. So a lot of the stuff I consume fit that environment. Then I started cycling, and a lot of my music became what I call cycle music. From cycle music, you realize that is not the same energy as that. Then there's shower music. Then there's dishes music. Then there's all these vibes for music. The more I started going out and the more I got into dancing, the more I realized how cool party music is. But like, it's not headphone music and stuff. So anyway, all I had to say, every song is probably designed with like either a live performance in mind or something to smoke a bat while you're fucking vibing to in your car or this or that, right? And this whole project feels like it's in like those giant speaker parties where they were going to go live and perform, and they're right immersed in the middle of hip hop culture in all that era of it, right? Like we went to the hip hop museum in the Bronx in November and like saw a bit of a snapshot of the vibe of the era right before this dropped. So it's like all these parties and clubs and people cruising around, and everybody's kind of coming through, and KRS-One and them are doing their thing. So it's like you just got to picture the whole overall era of IRL concert-driven performances. So everybody's going to have that nostalgia and booginess attached to their memories of consuming this. And I feel like if you've seen a song live, it hits different when you listen to it after. So with all that to be said, it makes sense that they design music like this, because there is going to be that live performance that people are going to see it at, or they're going to be at the club and the DJ is going to play it, and et cetera, et cetera. As far as the bars go, again, I'm not even going to mention them. They did that they do for 1980s. It's cool. I could see how a bunch of rappers bit this shit. And I think we've all moved past the era of biting this shit, I think. Maybe not. It's, again, their voices is like instruments. That hook is so cool. Ultramagnetic. Like, it's just cool. It sounds like they did drugs and made a hook. I really like it. Overall, it's a great vibe. It's a cool song. The beat's fun. It's like a 4.1. I'm with Chris, except that this one I liked less than the other ones. It's cool. Let's move on to Mo Love's theme. All right, y'all. How do you feel about Mo Love's theme?
I like it. Right away, I feel like this one is mixed louder than the last ones. Like that was like when I'm listening on headphones, and like you just kind of like get like this like regular sound, and then you get like an increase in sound like all of a sudden. So I do feel like there's like I don't know if that's a weakness in like the overall production, or if they did that on purpose, or if it was just like recorded in like a different place and time. But it does feel louder than the other ones. I mean, I love the scratching and the beat, and it's fun, it's good energy, it just makes me want to move. So like, great job. Like, you know, Mo Love is the DJ of this group. So this is, you know, like that explains like why this one is like so like heavily about the beat, and it's very scratch driven, you know, because it really is like his like, you know, time to shine. And, you know, it's really cool. I always appreciate when they do that kind of stuff. For me, like the lyrics on this one were less important, because like it was just about listening to like the beat and the scratching and like the mixing and like all of that. And I think it's really cool. I always really think it's fun when they do that kind of stuff, and like the DJ gets to like hype up the crowd, and like, you know, it's fun. And it's also super 80s. So I like it. I give this one another 4.75.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. So I listened to this a couple of times. Oh, man. And the only thing that stood out to me, and it's probably because it's one of like my favorite songs ever, but is the song Mastermind from Deltron 3030. And the reason why is because that song is a creative song based on giving respect to Ultimator, who is the DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way that this was presented as well, I was like, yo, that's super cool. Like the way that you did it. So like his verse, if I'm not mistaken, it's Kool Keith, right? Yeah. His verse is like really just hyping up the DJ and giving him love in the way that they do it, and then letting him do his scratch shit, and then continuously just pushing the love for the DJ, which I thought was really, really dope. Why did I make that connection? Because I did. But like more than that, is dope. I just like how they're really supportive of each other, and they do this like they're really just push like, yo, we're not just the rappers, we have other people who support us and who make this happen for you guys. Let's give love to the DJ. Let's make sure you know who's part of the crew. It's just super hype. That's pretty much it. I gave this a 4.2.
A little bit more.
The DJ scratches are really fucking fire. Like they're really fucking fire. So like I had to.
DJ scratches are really fire. They are. The verses, as you said, is the big love to the DJ thing, and as like an appreciation point, I respect and admire that. I have never in my life enjoyed listening to rappers just give love to a DJ. It's the equivalent of rappers rapping about rapping to me. It's really like culturally speaking, I totally understand it, and like it makes sense in the live, and like, yo, this whole song as a live performance makes all the sense, because this feels like when jazz musicians start like, you know, giving love to the various people in the band as they're like doing their little solos and shit. So like I really appreciate that. I couldn't care less, but like I really appreciate it. The scratching sounds super dope. Honestly, it's like the bars came and went. This is like one of the most forgettable songs for me. Like I like scratching, but it's really not like I'm as enthralled by it as most other people are. Like I've never even thought to put scratching on one of my songs. Like it's not that it's bad. It's just it's alright. You know, like it never drew me in like that. So I appreciate it, and the song is good. It's well made, but that's all I feel about it. It's a 4 on 5 for me. It's totally fine. Let's move on before I piss people off and get redundant. Kool Keith housing things.
Cool.
I'm gonna go first. It's okay. It's not really one of my favorite tracks. It holds up. I mean, Kool Keith does what Kool Keith does. The beat's okay. Like it had a certain vibe to it, but I wasn't really like engrossed in this really. I did like a line where Kool Keith is like, I teach kids and ducks that burn with a flamethrower, and how do you show a grass rapper cut them with a lawnmower? I thought that was cool. That's kind of really the only line that really stood out to me that I thought was cool. But this took a dip. This got a 3.5 on 5.
What? Like, so yeah, what is it about this song is different than the other songs that would make you drastically change your grade? Like, to me, they're all like arguably super fucking the same.
Honestly, sometimes if I'm looking at my phone more than I am like paying attention to the lyrics or like really trying to listen to the track, it's not like that enthralling to me. So like I'm not that interested. So I'm like, nah, this I wouldn't put this on. I wouldn't go to this. Like I wouldn't skip it if it came on, because it's like clearly I'm not the one controlling the aux cord or the radio, because like I wouldn't have this on my playlist. So I wouldn't skip it because I'm not but yeah, no, 3.5 on 5.
And you, lady friend Bonnie?
Well, it seems like Kool Keith is not the only one housing things around here.
Oh.
So I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, this is like the first time that I was like, Cool Keith really sounds like Eazy-E. And I do find it's interesting, like
Because he
that
talks
he,
about biting people the whole album, but you know that
no,
anyway.
no, but like what I was saying is like that he always sounds like somebody else, which is like kind of cool. Like I mentioned that he sounds like the Beastie Boys,
Okay.
that he sounds like Rob Bass, that he sounds like Eazy-E. Like he always sounds like somebody else, like obviously like, from that era.
And for
but
the
like,
people, for that comment I just made, again, I heard it, and when people say don't bite me, but you can easily trace their flow to other people, I always found that to be a weird thing. I digress.
Yeah, but anyway, so this is just like him like showing off, showing what he does, like what his life is like. And Chris sort of mentioned, he just mentioned that he teaches kids, which is like interesting. And but he also mentions that he hopes that they learn, which is nice, that he's trying to like, inspire the youth. The beat is fun, energetic, great scratching again. And at the end of the song, he like sends love to like his like friends and his peers. And it's just another fun, nice song. So I gave this one another 4.4 on 5.
That's fair. I mean, also to throw it out there, it is possible that back in these days, these guys didn't hear all each other's music just because there's no internet and stuff. It's like, that's why I have to remember this is
cassette.
It's 1988. It's not the way we understand things now. And in that regard, it's fire. Like, I really enjoy the sound of this one in regards to the beat, the flow, the way he's rapping. There's these lines that would just like pop up, like when he's doing all his food raps in the middle. I was like, that's actually kind of fun. That was the first time I'm like, I actually really like these bars. Like, a grass rapper cut him with a lawnmower? Like, what? And that's right after a flamethrower bar. Like, I'm like, this is so out there that it actually is interesting, because, like, arguably, I've never heard somebody be like, I'm gonna fuck up a rapper and turn him into wheat. I'm like, that's fucking hard. And then turn the rest into molding meat. I'm like, that's kind of hard when you think about it. And cook them till they all well done. I'm like, that was the first bars really that popped up at me the whole project. So I really wanted to give them love, because I enjoyed it a lot. The flow is cool. Cool Keith is got a very big mastery of flow, of delivery, of using his voice in a way. Mo Love does this thing. This feels like a staple of the time kind of vibe song. I have a lot more to comment on it. Sounds good at a party. I love the shoutouts at the end, the people that he's giving love to, and I really feel like Cool Keith just integrates into this overall community pretty well. And again, seminally important shit. A lot of people listen to this and bit this shit. And I respect why. It's like a 4.25. It's a good song. Let's move on to Traveling at the Speed of Thought remix. Before I notice Chris' face, I notice his fanny pack. That's amazing.
Yes.
All right, Chris. What do you think of this song, fanny pack, Chris?
Hold on. Fuck. I like this one. I like this. I can't remember why I like this. They clearly sampled something, and
it's Wild
what
Thing.
you said is a Wild Thing. I couldn't remember the name at the time, but that actually got me in the vibe, and I was like, oh, I know this. So that was really cool. I like how they kind of like blended certain genres.
Yeah, that's ill.
So that was really dope. This had like more energy than the last one to me a little bit. I like the fact that it was kind of quick. I was like, I had this like weird impression that like back in the day, all the songs were supposed to be like really fucking long, right? And then you get like this 1 minute, 52-second track. And I was like, oh, so this has like been a thing. It's not like it's new that artists nowadays are dropping short tracks. Like, okay, that's dope. Yeah, no, I liked it. It had more like a cypher vibe to me, the way they kind of just like float in with it and just kind of go with it. I felt like they were just in the studio and being like, yo, cut on a beat, we're in a vibe, and let's just go and have fun. And just like how they kind of just like stream of consciousness type shit. That was cool. I left it with a 4 on 5.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, this one definitely has more of like a rock inspired beat. Like it's like right away, like a different kind of a sound from the rest. But it is just more of like the same, like kind of topically and like, I don't know, what they're doing is just kind of more of the same as what they've done, but like just with like a rock song kind of. And we've got a bunch of cowbell on this one, so that's always fun. You hear the ding ding, like I'm like you just think of Will Ferrell when you like hear it. It just has a really good beat. It's got, it's just good energy. It's fun. It's uplifting. Like Chris said, it's quite short. It's like a minute 51. So it's like, traveling at the speed of thought. It's just quick, 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 quick. And I liked it. I gave it a 4.35 on 5.
Yeah, I really love the way this beat just kind of changed the whole vibe, and it makes me appreciate the pre-1994 court case that fucked up sampling era back when like they could just use whatever they wanted. Like you can never make this beat like that again and put it out like this and go through it. Like you just can't do it no more. So it changed a lot.
Bummer.
But that era of just grabbing what you wanted creates such a open world of potential for genres that are not the trendy fit in the box of what the algorithm wants stuff, because this is so out there. Like you're just so caught off guard when this song starts playing, like what? And it's ill. It's such a good beat, and the way they rap on it is so fun. Arguably we're back on that. I don't really care what they were saying, they just sounded cool rapping on it in this blended out. I would play this one. I just like it a lot. I think it's enjoyable. I think it's fun. And maybe it's just because I really like the way they flipped the wild thing into this like really cool like experience. It's just nice. It just feels like a cool vibe for me. So I'm giving it a 4.5. This is my favorite one so far on the project. I don't have more to say about it except that if this came on like at a live show, I'd be like, I'd like hurt my throat screaming because I wasn't prepared for it like I did last night at one point. Like like when you just screech by accident and you're like, I'd turn up, like it would be too hot. All right, let's move on to Feelin It. All right, how do y'all feel about this one?
Well, I'm feeling it. I'll just say that. And the MCs are feeling this beat, and like that's why they rap to this, and that's why they were like, this is a good beat, like keep playing it, like we're gonna like spit some freestyles. And Ced-Gee, like I just find him always so like obvious with like his verses, that they're just like so funny, and like I love it. He'll damage you with his mind, and like just like the things that he's saying is like really cool, and just like dope spitting, and the beat again, a great beat, great mixing, great like scratching, all of it is good. And they just sound like cool guys, and they're going to like out rap you, and like no matter what you do, like they're just gonna keep like one upping you and like feeling it, and it's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be cool. And it's also going to be like friendly. Like they're like trying to like obviously like be the best, but like in a friendly kind of way. Like they're not going to like, they're not going to like shoot you or whatever. Like they haven't mentioned anything like that. So it's just like, they're going to run you over with their lawnmower. Something a little more mainstream. So, so I like this one. Another fun one. I give it a 4.35 on 5.
I felt like the flow was different on this. Like it didn't have that same type of like boppiness. It was more solid, more like I guess something I'm kind of used to a little bit more. It just sounded a little different compared to like the first couple of tracks we've been getting. But I mean it stands up. It holds well. I thought it was cool. So far I'm like, this is what it is. If you like this, you like this. If you don't, well then you don't. 4 on 5.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that point too, where I feel like the novelty of this project is completely worn off, and this is what the album is. So like we snap back into more of the core sound, which makes sense because I don't think DJ Mo Love produced the last one, and then there's another one that he didn't produce that also feels different. So like it's cool that they had the breaks in there, but like again, is the skills there, the technique is enjoyable. The bars are like silly when I listen to them, and I enjoy it, right? It's almost like a more sanitized, humorous version of what other people are doing. And it's like like slicing nerds with verbs is one of those bars, and that's kind of what they're doing. It's almost like we're not trying to be tough per se in the way that you might be trying to be tough. We're just the illest rhymers in the world, and let me show you how far the vast imagination of my mind can go. And that's pretty cool. That's kind of like the Lane K. Reno went down and all that. So like I really appreciate what they're doing. The sound fits everything else, all the same compliments and whatnot. It felt more fillery to me. I had a lot of trouble getting into it, but 4.25, it's still well made. Like I would have to be like in a party mood to really rock this, or be in the right frame of mind to listen to this. Like this it's not that like it's a chore to listen to, but like if you're not in that vibe where you just want to shake your booty and go dance, it's like a whole different energy. But if you're in that mood, it's like the greatest shit you're ever going to hear, because it really is shake your booty music. And I think they're killing it on that front. Anyway, let's move on to 1 minute less.
Honestly, is dope. The 1 minute flow, super cool. I like how, he's keeping it tight. What I did like, and what really still stands out, is just pushing that wave of support for the other groups at the end when he's like shouting out all like the different rappers and like Public Enemy and African Bambaataa and all that. Like that's really dope, and I don't hear that a lot nowadays. It's like, yeah, you get the people who like rep their clique and they're always like, yo, this gang, whatever, not like gang, but like record label, team, whatever. But like to see these guys like name dropping other people that may or may not be in the group per se, or just other people they kind of fuck with in the city, that's really dope to me. That's like what we do, and I think that that's like super, super cool that they're just like, we really have passion for the music. We really love what we do. We're really trying to be like, in a sense, like pioneers to this shit. So we have to put everybody on. We have to make sure you're aware of everyone else who's like essentially who we consider great rappers. If they're going to be out here being like, we're the elites, we're the best in this, and they're going to name drop some rappers, it's like kind of like a cosign in a sense. So that was super dope to me. Yeah, I gave it a 4.1 on 5.
Yeah. So this one, they only have a minute left, and so this is what they're going to do. They're going to like spit their bars and like, keep it fresh, keep it cool. So we've got, Ced-Gee and Kool Keith. So one of my questions is there's 4 guys on the cover, and I only can identify 3 guys. So I don't know who the 4th guy is or what his contribution is.
I'll Google.
Like I looked up who's in the group, but I'm only like actually like hearing and aware of like, I'm aware of like who the DJ is, and like we're only hearing 2 voices on this album. So I don't know what the part of, like, is it the producer? Like, I don't know. Anyways. But yeah, we have, Kool, Ced-Gee and Kool Keith, and like they do like a quick little, back and forth, and Mo Love on the beat, and yeah, this one was good. Another, it was fine. Another 4.25 on 5.
I felt like it was kind of one of those come in quick, do it. I like the fact that there was a little gimmicky. Like, we're like, okay, let's see what we can do. We'll call it 1 minute left. Maybe they actually only had like 1 minute left on the studio at this time. And so like you can almost picture this coming up super organically. And then they just kind of finished the song after they did their little verse. And I really appreciated that, because I like the kind of like picturing the backstory sometimes. I really like Ced-Gee doing its thing. I find he's really cool. Like, I know Kool Keith kind of feels like he's more shiny, but Ced-Gee kind of balances out and adds a whole other vibe to it. Other rappers maybe don't always get annihilated, but that's the vibe of this shit. I don't know. I was looking at the line quickly. Other rappers are annihilated. And I'm like, I always find it funny when rappers say that and then almost it never happens. But like in general, it's another fun song. Cool, scratchy vibes. I like the 20-30 second little outro where he just kind of shined a bit. 4. Yeah. It's a 4 on 5. It's alright. I like the shoutouts, the love giving. Anyway, Ain't It Good to You is the next one. Yeah, I really like the little like the way that the scratch tables be used as an instrument to like complement the sound. It like feels like Mans is like guitar soloing with his tables, and that feels really, really cool. I often get
Yeah.
that geeked on it, but that was super cool. How do
I
y'all
felt
feel
like it
about
was
this?
Keep going.
Me?
Yeah.
might as well.
They rhyme the way that they've been rhyming pretty much the whole project. This one was a little more quicker, upbeat, or whatever. It's like a little faster, a little trickier. So it's like we can do it faster too, but we're not like at the super fast that we got later on. I felt what was really impressive about the speed up is how while they did speed it up, they also managed to maintain the ratio of pauses and the ratio of their like flow and math terms was like really beautifully transitioned. Whereas a lot of people, when they approach a faster beat, will just like not have the pauses anymore, not be able to create the versatility. So as far as fast flows go, that was really cool to listen to. I don't know. It's like another one of these songs on this project. The production is on par with the other ones. It's like really good to listen to. This one's a little more jump up and down than shake your booty though. So I kind of like the speed of it is more my cup of tea. Like I would mosh to this and I like that. I like a good rap song you can jump up and down to, but 4.4 on 5. It's a little more enjoyable for me.
Yeah, this one is definitely like it has a faster beat. And I think that that would also be like really like cool for like breakdancing and obviously, quick rapping. Um, I feel like Cool Keith sounds much like softer on this one. Like I just find like he's got such a weird and versatile voice. Like it always sounds a little bit different, or I don't know. It's cool. Um, I like some of Ced-Gee's lines, like Edgar Allan Poe could not write like this, mysteries within a twist or with a twist. And I insist to uplift my metaphor, slice, dice, and write and make the brain sore. I like that he's like referencing Edgar Allan Poe. Like it just like it's like
Mm.
such like what is it like high thought versus like low thought or something like that,
It's like
where it's like
tapping into the high arts and whatnot.
yeah, the high arts and like mixing it with like low arts. And I think that it's really cool that like they're able to do that. I think it's just good lyrics, great rapping because it's quick and like and I think it's just fun. This is just more like spitting bars at each other and it's just like quick in and out, bing bang boom, it's good. So I gave it a 4.25 on 5.
Yeah, the only thing I had an issue with was they both verses sounded lower than the chorus, and like the first time around I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. But then like the second, third time around, I was like, this is just kind of noise to me. Like it was just a little bit of an annoying noise. That was really it. Like the song's pretty solid. Everything else is cool. They do what they do, but I just felt like we get this little pocket of like high scratches, high DJ-ness, and just da 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 da, and then we go into the verses and it's like super low, and I'm just like,
Okay.
what is up with
Mm.
this energy change?
Yo, it's the sound
Like,
mixing of the back in the day. Because maybe that was lit. Like, think about the party, though, right? Like, maybe that's, like,
right.
lit on speakers that are taller than you.
So I agree with that. But I mean, I left this with a 4 on 5. Y'all pretty much said it all.
Yeah, that's the way this review is going to be probably for the rest of the review. Because there's not a lot more I think we're getting of novelty in that regard. But it's okay because they going to keep it funky on the remix.
I thought it was cool. I like how Cool Keith looks at himself as his only competition. I thought that was like kind of inspiring. Like he doesn't really give a fuck about anybody else. He's like, I know I'm good. I know that the only thing that's better than me is myself, and I'm always just going to improve on myself. So that's cool. Um, that's about it for me, really. Like it follows suit with what we've been getting. The energy still consistent there. Um, everything is just flows nicely. I gave it a 4 on 5.
And you, Bonnie?
I like this one. I thought it was like the beat at the very beginning reminded me of a Moby song. So I wonder if they were both using the same sample and what that sample was from. Like if anybody knows like what I'm talking about, let me know. Um, it's definitely like more like fire rhymes. Like I definitely think that this one definitely sounds more like battly, like they're both like just trying to like impress each other and like spit, hard bars. So I think that that's really cool. And like Kool Keith is like not having it. He says this several times. I thought that was kind of funny. And yeah, I don't know, I just liked it. It's another good one. I gave it a 4.2 on 5.
I gotta give him a lot of credit. There is a lot of quotables up in this shit. Like, I might go up to Chris moving forward and be like, yo, Chris, my rhymes are clippers. They cut your hair off, bitch. Because that shit's fire. Like, it's so basic in the regards that it's like regular shit. And that's kind of impressive to me. Like, that's a cool bar to make hard, because it's not like superfluidity. It's like, yo, you know what it is? Like, you are long hair, and I'm going to cut you down to size. Take that. I'm not having it. And that energy is really cool. Otherwise, we kind of in the same part of where we've been. It's fly beats. They be doing this shit. We're back on that cool party stuff. They like rapping. They doing their things. And I'm having a lot of trouble focusing on it. It really isn't easy for me to like just get into, like, vibe into it. I find it's very samey. That's my biggest issue with a lot of this era is like I like the topical stuff. Like, I really like it when an album has subjects on it that like lets me sink into different things. Like, I feel like I've already heard this song, and it makes me feel like on the next one I'm already gonna hear that song. And I feel like that about most projects that like stick into the same thing and like groove into it, even if the dude's dropping it today and it's some trendy shit. It's why I don't like a lot of the newer albums from a review perspective, because it's like, what am I going to talk about? They be doing the same thing on every song too. And it's not like it's not innovative or cool. And again, I take it back to 1988, where I have to remind myself that, like, yo, this is going to be the project and people are going to eat it up for like a year. And this is all that they're going to, like, there's a lot of factors that change the context of this music's release for the time. But man, is it so hard for me to get into like rappers rapping about other rappers for like fucking a whole album. Like, it's just like not my cup of tea like that. But in the way that they do it, I just have to give a lot of props. It's super out there and it flexes imagination. And I'm left to think about K Reno. And it's almost like K Reno heard this and took it to a next level, because he's a guy that's like so out there with his imagination, only has some more topics added in. So like, I really appreciate how seminally impactful this is and how it really is an alternative to other things that were being produced at the time. And that's really, really cool. So I give it a 4.35. And let's move on to give this drummer some. That was funky, though. I really like that. I think, is that James Brown again? Is that like not a song by him or something, or am I wrong? I know, like, isn't there like an actual Give the Drummer song?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm Googling.
Good.
But yeah, what's up, Chris? How do you feel about this one?
Same thing I felt throughout the whole project. I mean, I do like how he's giving the drummer of the group some love. We're paying some attention to them. Again, showing them more like it's not just us. It's about the team. It's about everybody who's part of this to be able to bring you the entertainment and the music that you have. So I thought that was super cool. Lyrics are the lyrics. The flows are the flows. Like, it is what it is. It's 4 on 5.
Okay. Well, there's obviously more drums on this one. So I always like drums, so I like that. So Kool Keith was like the first to say, switch up, change my pitch up, smack my bitch up like a pimp. And like, that's where the Prodigy.
Yeah, I was like, change my pitch up, smack my bitch up.
My bitch up. So like, that was like taken from these guys. So that's cool.
Super seminal, super impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like when Ced-Gee says, so step back, because I'm gonna start to spray with this can of raid spray. If you're a germ filthy like AIDS, I'll clean you up with heat, vapor, scrubbing like a mistake on paper. I'm rubbing. So it definitely feels like very like 80s and like relevant, and like with like the AIDS line, filthy like AIDS, like like that's quite insulting, I would imagine. So like, you know, plus it was like, you know, like I said, very relevant to like their lives back then when like AIDS was like this whole big thing. I imagine that at some point, like there's going to be like, you know, COVID bars. I'm sure there already is. And
There
like, you know,
are
obviously like
so many
that's
COVID
going to be so
bars.
relevant to like our lives today. And then in, you know, 40 years when people do the same classic quest shit like they do, like we're doing, then they will see, you know, it'll be like relevant like that. So I don't know. I just thought it was very cool. It seemed like it felt very 80s, like in, just in terms of like things that they were talking about and like stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is just everything that you could want out of like an 80s New York hip hop album. I don't know. I think it was fun. I give this song a 4.35 on 5. I liked it. I like drums.
Dope. Yeah, there's too many COVID bars already. It's the facts of it. Anyway,
Yeah.
this is another one that's fun. It's another one with a great beat. It's a real good testament to it. Again, I can see how like back then this would have been like next level out the park ahead of its time stuff. And it's like look, when you actually stop to listen to the shit, it's so fun. Like it makes me giggle sometimes, right? Like I smell a grape and the duck preserves and who deserves to right to be the king of the screen and shout whack poetry. What like it's just so like nowadays nobody would do it like that. Like we all almost know better and there were like no rules, so they would just say whatever fucking weird shit came out of their mouths. And I don't even know what, and maybe that all means something to you. And maybe you could do this crazy breakdown of it. But it sounds so silly, but I'm still getting smacked in my face. And I think I have to give him a lot
Like
of
they're not
props.
saying that anything that's like particularly like cruel, or they're not like being
Yeah.
particularly violent. Like they're just like saying like harsh words, you know, like
But in the
I don't
most,
know,
like,
friendly way.
like your grandma could bump this kind of way. It's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting and inventive and imaginative. And like, I've never seen Bonnie quote so many fucking bars on a review in my life. So evidently
Okay.
it's hit. No, I mean like you be really feeling some of these bars from like you be quoting bars like we be quoting rapper bars, not so much concept shit. You're like, that's so
These are
hard.
rapper bars. I'm just
You know
gonna
what?
say
I'm not
that. That
saying that
was
they're not.
rude.
I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired, y'all. But like the way we anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm
Yes.
failing to say it. Overall, it's fun. It's another 4.25. Like the songs are at this point pretty indistinguishable to me. They're just good hodgepodge of music where like I would throw this on with the right audience because this would probably slap. I'll bet with the right audience at the right wedding, you could just play this shit A to Z and they would just turn up and boogie on down. Anyway, let's break north. What do y'all think about break north? Sorry.
Um, well, I like some of Cool Keith's lines. The I got a radio, small and yet portable, comfortable with the sound and audio, kicking hi hats, just ticking, spicy lyrics, and words finger licking good. I thought that was fun. Just the way that he does it, and like I don't know. I like the lyrics. They're fun. Like, you know, like KFC, just delicious, enjoyable, you know, and he's talking about that he's got a portable radio, something that, you know, I just picture like, you know, it's the 80s, you're gonna have this gigantic boom box. Um, so it just like puts you like into like that time and era and like in that space. And like, you know, he talks about being from the South Bronx. So it's like it throws you like right there. Like, I don't know, it's just cool visuals, at least for me. Um, and like, you know, I just like the lyrics like overall, and wraps up um with like a bunch of like contraceptives that so he doesn't get anything, or maybe he just doesn't get anyone pregnant, which is interesting but like realistic to hear, because I feel like people don't really talk about that. Like I think he mentions that he wraps up with like four like condoms basically, and then like he takes like all the contraceptives. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just funny. I don't know, I like this one. I thought it was, you know, more of the same but still good. So 4.35 on 5.
I felt like this song had more of an aggressive feel to it. I feel like when they sampled the hook. It's like that, y'all. It's kind of like really telling people like, this is how you're supposed to rap. This is how you're supposed to be an elite rapper. Kind of reinforcing that like idea of we are the best. And I thought it was super dope. Um, yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. The lines are the lines and the bars are the bars and everything had a nice bop to it. It was another 4 on 5.
Yeah, and again, I think it's super interesting how strongly Bonnie's reacting to this and how not strongly Chris and I are, right? Like, I mean, to me, that's like super noteworthy because I know
But
Bonnie
like I
doesn't.
like fun music,
Me, like,
and you
I don't.
don't.
I mean, I sort of like certain kinds of fun, but like I like wild fun. I'm not really into the silly, funny fun, you know? Like I don't even really fuck that much with stand-up comedy like that anymore. Unless it's like super serious Dave Chappelle ranting with no jokes for 30 minutes. I fucks with that a little bit. But like so it's like it if I was ever in the mood for like silly Billy shit, it would be cool, but and I think it's amazing that this exists, right? Because on the other hand, it's like this is for so many people that might not want to listen to some of the stuff I want to listen to. I want some Sage Francis sociopolitics sometimes. Most people don't want to bump that. So like it's kind of this party vibe where like you could go there and in a sense it's even child friendly enough that like you could just have like everybody put this on in a whole bunch of things. It's so accessible,
Yeah,
but it's
because
still
this doesn't have like the like parental advisory, but like maybe it was
it
before the
was before
sticker.
that. That came a little
But
bit
like
later.
there's also like I just don't find that there's a lot of like
It was Two Life Crew, I think, in the early '90s.
like violent and like there's nothing like horrendously like oh it's so like
I don't even know if they
like I feel
swear.
like
To be honest, I don't
I
even
guess
remember if they swear. I don't. There's no swearing in most of these bars.
yeah
It's just like a bunch of creative stuff. It's just a bunch of
yeah
ideas. It feels a lot like the way stand-up comedy will slew a bunch of one-liner jokes together, while kind of coherently pulling a thing off, which
hmm
is cool. Um, and I like how creative it is, but in contrast to even shit you hear today, it's like you don't really hear a lot of people trying to go hard, but using their imagination to make it like so out there. Where again, I'm left to think of K Reno as being one of the best examples of that doing it right now today. So it's interesting to me. But yeah, 4.25. It's like if I don't have any strong feelings, then it's as good as all the other ones. Objectively, it's not better or worse than anything I've heard. But this late in the album, I'm like, yep, it's cool. It's alright. Let's move on to the next one. Critical Beatdown,
yep
title track. How do y'all feel about this one? The title track, the big granddaddy of the album.
it's good. Go
I do
Chris.
think that this has way more energy in it, and I'm glad that at least the title track kind of gave me more life. It sounds like throughout the project though, they do like their flows definitely change and get better in terms of just like me listening. I'm like, I like the way they flow on this a lot more. I like the way they're like a little bit more tighter, more kind of polished a little bit, but still got that edge to it. Um, yeah, another 4 on 5. I'm keeping it short and sweet.
Okay. Yeah, I think that this one, it's the title track. I think that there's um good mixing, good scratching. Like I definitely think that it's, high energy. They're bringing it and they're basically saying that they're better than you and they're here to prove it and like you better like listen up because they're gonna like beat you down and girls love them and they're the best and just kind of like braggadocious and it definitely feels like something that I think like everybody would enjoy. Like it's just like fun energetic music to like get you moving and like show off what they can do. So I gave it a 4.5 on 5.
I have to give Kool Keith 100% credit. He spit the realest bar. Play close attention. I take your brain to another dimension. Hold it, mold it, shape it. You got a knife? Yes, I want to scrape it. I don't know what that last part meant. But really and truly, this dude does fucking rap in a way that takes you to a new dimension. Even like back then, this feels weird compared to what everyone else is doing in a good way. Where it's really innovative and it's really fucking almost like the nerdiest shit ever. Okay, like I don't know how else to put it. It feels like Revenge of the Nerds raps, but like in a good way. because like it just feels like a safe and hard experience, like what you've been describing, but like from an intellectual prowess point of view, it's like slapping you with their ability to outbrain you, and it's cool. And I really enjoy the flow. I mean, it's the literal same feedback I would give on every other track that I've given so far. Good pacing, good rhyming, the delivery is incredible. It's fun, but like I'm not really that like, it's still rappers rapping about rapping and whatnot. So it's cool, but and they do it well, but it's like a lot of songs of this in a row. And I know that that's what people did, but like it's still a lot of it in a row. And I know that, but every time I say that, there's always that person that's like, yeah, but some people love it. I'm like, cool. And I'm glad that people do love it. I'm not as loving it. 4.25 because objectively, again, this song individually is pretty hype, but it doesn't really stand out. It doesn't really bring anything new to the table. And it's just another fun experience to just kind of shake your booty to and listen and vibe to, etc., etc. So
Perfect.
let's move on then to When I Burn. All right. What do you think about When I Burn?
I think we have very good conversations, and they have enlightened creative ideas, and everybody should burn to be creative. I think you meant the song though.
Look at Chris being silly.
Yeah, no, this one too. I felt more like they were in the pocket. They were like more like trying to be on beat and not really more open with what they do, more like just in that pocket. And it just sounded nice. It sounded way more something that I would want to, I think, listen to more. Yeah. 4 on 5.
Cool. And you, Bonnie?
This one has like a super like high pitched sound, like a firecracker like shooting off, or like when you make a balloon like squeak by like letting like a little bit of air out of it. So I'm not really sure if that's an enjoyable sound, but it was still okay. And it was, you know, unique to this song. Like this song felt consistent with like the rest of the songs on this album. But for me, like this one was a little bit less enjoyable to listen to just because of like that high pitched like squeaking sound. So I give it a 4 on 5.
Awesome.
That's all I have to say about this one.
When I burn, I like to be on Twitch, having a nice little stream, a little conversation and shit. Like, oh shit, look at, anyway. I don't think that was funny. The song's basically par for the course. It's like, it's cool. I enjoy listening to it, but there's nothing noteworthy for me to mention at this point. It's just an alright song. I know that the bars are cool, but it's, again, it's not what they're saying. It's all about how they rap it. These guys' delivery is next level. It's a delivery thing, and I don't want to take that away. I know it might feel like I'm being a bit dismissive, but like I don't think what they're saying is super substantial or amazing. I think the way they're saying it makes these songs fucking sound good in 2022, and that's really impressive. But it's, again, like, you may as well have heard this song already on this project as far as any of the conceptual things. And that's what I do. If y'all watch my reviews, I concept the fuck out, so they're not giving me a lot to work here with. Otherwise, it's super dope. Production's great. Everything's great. Same kind of shit we've been saying. 4.25 on 5. Let's move on to the last one. Ced-Gee, Delta Force 1. All right, how do y'all feel about the final track on the main project? Because we're not actually going to do the bonus tracks. Yeah.
I like this. I thought the beat was cool. I thought it had a nice little different type of flavor to it. So I thought that was dope. What I like and what took me forever to fucking realize on this project was I like how they go 4 lines of the same type of reference. So like there was the David and Goliath bar, and then he goes like slingshot, and then he says something else that like connects to David and Goliath, and then like that era. And I like how they do that in like those sectors. I feel like a lot right now in music, you have like some people who do that, but then others, it's just kind of like one-liners, and it's like da-da-da, this metaphor, and then this new metaphor, and then this new thing. So I thought that was something that stood out and was really cool. But I mean, it's actually kind of a pretty solid song to end with, I think, because it has a more softer tone overall, kind of like a wrapping up tone. Like let's ease you out of the project after you've gotten all these hard bars and these flows and these like crazy adventure that you've been on. So I thought that was also pretty cool too. I gave this a 4.1 on 5.
Yeah, this one has like a slower beat, still like super like fun and scratchy and like cool mixing, but like just like a slower tempo or something in it. So for me, like this and like the previous songs, like the last two songs on this album were less like it. I think like it wasn't just like such like high energy, like the last two like kind of like slowed down. So it could be like kind of like what Chris mentioned, like, you know, just to kind of like ease us out of it. But I'm like, I would have just like to just have it fun and tight all the way. Not that this one isn't fun, it's just that it's like a bit slower. It's like a denouement or whatever. So and this one is just like Ced-Gee, like just kind of like showing off, doing his thing. And it's okay. Like I gave it a 4 on 5.
This is my favorite song on the album. It's the best
Wow.
beat to me. It's so wavy, but it's cool. It's like, again, ahead of its time. I'm like, this is ill. And the way he rides the beat is so cool. It's got this calm, controlled demeanor to it. The bars is even kind of like dope, like Chris said. Like, it's got this more like, okay, this is where shit be going vibe to it. And it feels a bit less like in the party and more like some shit to actually sit down in your chair to and just kind of like head bop and vibe, which is a little bit more like the range of music I want to listen to, whereas you like the more uppity shake your booty stuff. I mean, I hear your shower playlist.
Yes.
It's very dancey.
Thank you.
But like, I think it's so cool because it's such a left field song. Like, you're like, what? How did this appear? Like, it caught me so off guard. It got all my attention back. And I liked it the most. It's just really enjoyable, the different sounding, and maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because it's so different sounding after that saturation of the sameness for a while that it like extra increases my feelings, because that shit is a true thing about albums and the song sequencing. But yeah, this is the most of something I would actually listen to today of a lot of the 80s shit I've ever heard, to be honest. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5 on 5. Super fun ending to this album for me. Holden fun. And so what do you think about the project as a whole?
Overall, like I would say, like, you know, the word that I used to describe each song was fun. So I think overall it is a very fun album. It's like, you know, there's great mixing, great scratching, you know, enjoyable lyrics, fun lyrics. Like it's just like you know, like it's friendly competition. Like it's not like, you know, like angry or like grimy or anything like that. It's just like fun music. So I gave it overall a 4.34 on 5, so it's 86.8%. So I really like this. I think this is definitely a classic. And I think that this is something that a lot of people can like pull from, and I think have pulled from, you know, obviously over the years. And I think it's still like relevant and fun and can offer people something fun, I guess.
Yeah,
That's it.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way about the project. I think that if you're really into this era and you're really into this type of vibe and the way that these guys flow, you're really gonna like this project. If you're not into this, then you're just not going to enjoy it. I do really like kind of seeing where a lot of rap started, a lot of where my favorite rappers kind of have the certain flows and where they kind of studied certain shit. So that's kind of really cool to go back and like really see the roots of that. Finally got to hear Kool Keith and like actually
Facts.
finally get to do
You're
that.
welcome.
I've never fucking done that in my entire life.
Same.
So at least, you know, there is something to take away there. Overall, I didn't have time to do the math. I'm giving it a 4 on 5 because that one song that I gave it 3.5, it's like that's just me. I
You
can
also
understand
gave
why
a couple that were 4.1, 4.1, and 4.2, so you would actually
Maybe like
be at
a 4
approximately
point,
a
like
4. Like, you're basically
there
at
we
4.
go. There we go. So I do think it holds up. I do think there is a
Oh, we
lot
did,
of
eh?
like I do think there is a lot of like, you know, some education and some learning on how to like structure bars and shit like that and kind of have fun with your raps in this. But it's not my cup of tea. Like don't ask me in a week if I'm still bumping this because it's not gonna happen.
Bro, if I want to make a room full of 40-year-olds shake their ass, I'm throwing this shit on. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's a really good shake your ass album with some little lyrical miracles coming through. Back when it was cool to lyrical miracle because nobody lyrical miracled and it wasn't annoying. And I respect that. I think you can just clearly see the seminal impact of all the people that bit their shit over the years and how much influence it really did have. And there are quotables in this that other people have gone on to say. There's a lot of interesting in this project from like a history perspective, and it's like you really should listen to it because I think seeing the people who innovated shit adds flavor to like when you follow the big pun back to Big Daddy Kane and you kind of see the evolution, it just adds more weight to it because it shows this progression of history. But boy, oh boy, this is not my favorite era. I love the production, but I don't ever really want to listen to it because I'm almost never in a place where it's the appropriate music for where I'm at. So it's like, if I'm ever at the right party though, it's good to know this all exists so I can, you know, be cool in that moment. But it's more like it's like I'm glad we reviewed it for the sake of the history more than I really would ever go back to bump it again myself. And I appreciate it in its context in the greater role. It's like a 4.25. I mean, it's a seminal classic though. I don't care what my grade says. I don't want to take away from the actual classic value of a project like this when it came out and the impact that it had over time forever. If you go to the YouTube comments on these videos, it's a bunch of people geeking like it's the hottest shit they ever heard. So clearly it's a classic to a lot of people. And I don't want to even touch that in a negative way because it did its thing when it did it. And like I could just picture myself being like 10 or 11 then hearing this freaking the fuck out. And so that's a really cool thing. Well, that's all I got to say about that. Thank y'all for watching this. Whoever's still with us on the live, y'all are wonderful people. Thank y'all to the people watching us in the future on YouTube. Make sure to catch us on the twitch.tv/BehindThatSuit. Sundays, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the album reviews. That's when we be doing it. Be cool like the cool kids over here. But y'all are wonderful too. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you want to tell us what albums you want to see us review, patreon.com/BehindThatSuit. On that note, it's been super wonderful, everybody. Appreciate everyone again out there watching, and live long and prosper, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.